Okay, welcome to our first video on transport in plants. We'll be looking at active transport. Now here we have an actual plant taken out of the ground. You can see its stem, you can see its roots, you can see its leaves. We're not looking at any transport from the roots to the leaves or from the leaves to the roots. We're only concentrating on the roots themselves, and in particular we're looking at the root hair cell. The root hair cell is what gives my plant a large surface area. The bigger the surface area, the more mineral ions can be absorbed by the plant. Mineral ions are needed for growth and repair. Okay? So, setting the scene. My root hair cells I find in my roots, obviously. They give the plant a big surface area. They're for transporting in mineral ions, and it's for growth and repair. Now, active transport itself is quite complicated. It starts off in the dreaded cell with the funny cell shape. Okay? This is a large vacuole. My vacuole is used for storage. The hair cell protrudes into the soil. So all this stuff on the outside, this is all soil. Okay? My hair cell itself does contain a nucleus, but for obvious reasons it's got no chloroplasts. In the membrane of the cell, there are carrier proteins. The function of these carrier proteins is to actively transport molecules against the concentration gradient. Now, to remind you what the concentration gradient is, if I've got a high concentration here and a low concentration here, molecules are going to move passively without any energy being used whatsoever from high to low. Now, this could be carbon dioxide going from the air through the stomata of a leaf, or it could be sugar in the digestive system going into the bloodstream. Any molecule at all that's got a high concentration on one side and a low concentration on the other will passively move. Now, because mineral ions are in a low concentration in the soil and a high concentration in the actual plant, movement goes from low to high. Okay? From low to high. This is active transport. So the inside of my root hair cell has got a lot of mineral ions. There is a high concentration of mineral ions in the root hair cell, which means if I want to transport any more mineral ions in, it has to be against the concentration gradient. Because there is a low concentration here and a high concentration here. So it goes against the concentration gradient. The buzzwords that we have to remember: concentration gradient, we have to remember carrier protein, and we have to remember active transport. Now, the other point that we have to make is that if I'm walking up a hill from the bottom to the top, it's going to require energy. It's going to take me energy, me especially, let's face it. So when it comes to active transport, you must always mention that it requires energy. That's the specific word that they'll have in the marking, in the mark scheme for you. The active transport requires energy. These carrier proteins are like doors. If they're not open, you can't get your mineral ions in. They need energy before they can open. They need energy because my molecules are going against the concentration gradient. So the carrier protein has to actively transport my molecules from low concentration to high concentration, which requires energy. That is active transport. That is how you get your mineral ions into the plant for growth and repair.